Welcome back, my friend. This is Bjjbrick. Quick. This is your quick Jiu-Jitsu podcast. My name is Byron. This week we're talking about rolling with big people. I said big guys, I think, on my notes, but just big people in general. Coming at this as kind of a middleweight size person here. I guess I get a little bit of a view from both. I definitely started this as a lighter weight person in the gym, and I've graduated up to middle-aged where I've packed on a little bit of pounds. Some good, some bad pounds. Anyways, rolling with the big people. Some tips, some advice, that sort of thing this week. If you are the big person in the room, how do you roll with the smaller people and still get good rolls? Anyways, I think this one here, we'll start this topic off for the week and just think about how strange it is. In jiu-jitsu, you're going to train with everybody in the room, basically. And you don't have to. That's not a requirement. You don't need to train with people who you don't want to train with. That's pretty simple. But it is strange. It is strange that you could have one person who's 130 pounds and they go and they find a person who's 230 pounds. And neither one of those are a stretch. 230 is not monstrous, and 130 is not teeny tiny. And they'll roll pretty darn hard. It's also strange that we do the absolute divisions in tournaments. They're fun. I've done a few back in my day. They're fun to watch. They're fun to root for people. When I signed up for it, I think I was 155 pounds. Kind of back in my competition weight. I don't know for sure. Around there. And I knew I was going to catch a loss eventually. But it's just going to be a good experience. And just the fact that I think there's definitely a value added to us as martial artists, to us as grapplers, that I could look at somebody who's 250 pounds, and I'll know that it won't be easy to deal with that person, but having rolled with a lot of people around that weight class, I know what they're capable of. I know when they push me, I'll probably fall. I know when they push me, they'll get me to step back. I know they're heavy. I don't want to be on the bottom. I know that if somebody who's particularly strong gets a good grip on clothing, they don't have to let go. And I think one thing that we think about, my example, I used about 100 pounds weight difference. It's more, I think it's easy to say that the percent is the bigger factor. If somebody is 50 pounds and somebody's 150 pounds, that's a huge difference. Most people, obviously I'm not a kid here, but if somebody's 200 pounds and somebody's 250 or 300 pounds, that's less of a percentage difference. It's still 100 pounds. 300 to 400 pounds. Those are some big grapplers. But at that point, it's not as big of a deal. So I often don't think about the actual pounds as percent different. And that might kind of help you judge what's happening in your rolls. Like, this person is 50% bigger than me, or 10%, or I'm 40% heavier than they are. Compared to, I've got them by 50 pounds. Well, is it 50 pounds that really matters? Somebody who's 230 versus 280, that's significant, but it's not the same. As you go lower in weight, it's a higher percentage of the body weight. I don't know, guys. How do you think about this? I enjoy rolling with the big teammates that I have. Very fortunate that I'm on a team that safety is valued. If you're rolling with somebody who's smaller than you and you think that they don't really have your safety in mind and they're not as technical as you, you could kind of mitigate that. But if you're rolling with a big person and it's fairly evenly matched and they don't care about your safety, you probably shouldn't do that roll. They're going to, throw you too hard against the wall, or maybe a support beam that's in the middle of the mat. It doesn't. I think the risk for injury goes up if the idea that safety isn't even more important, like for their training partners. I rolled with some really big, strong people, and they didn't roll like that necessarily. Just because they wanted to get a smooth technical roll and they want to work on their jiu-jitsu. I think that's a good way to go. Hey, a little update here. I recently did an interview with a podcast called Everyday Martial Artists. You could go to everydaymartialarts.com, and it might be there by now. I don't know. I record this episode in advance, and so does Brian over there. He records his stuff in advance, so I don't know which one will publish first, but he's got lots of interesting interviews on there. I'm an interview on there. I can't say I was definitely a little different on there than the typical person, maybe, but I think we had a great time talking about jiu-jitsu and kind of his questions about it from more of a broad martial arts spectrum than what we typically deal with on this show. So I really enjoyed it. And swing by Everyday Martial Arts artist.com, or just type it in your podcast finder. And this should be about the time my interview will probably air. It's probably aired already. If not, check it again in a week or two, and it'll be up there. And send him a little bit of appreciation for having me on the show. I really appreciate to have him getting hold of me and have me on there. Anyway, guys, I'll let you guys go. Have a great day, my friend, and stay sweaty.